Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Lucha Underground review. And I gotta say, for me personally, it's kind of a mixed bag. I don't think this episode was as strong as the recent installments, the kind of role that Lucha Underground's been on, but it still had worthwhile stuff that got me really excited, piqued my curiosity. So it was kind of a bit of, give and take, if you will, for this episode. One thing I really didn't care for at all, which we'll probably talk about in our first segment, we probably will have a heat of the night for this. But before I get into any of that, let me hand it over to my cohort and commentary. Ashton, what do you think about Lucha Underground?
Yeah, I would say that the first few minutes and the last, the first, I don't know. It's hard to explain how I felt about this episode because I'm kind of with you in that it wasn't as good as the last few weeks, but I also feel like that's less to do with how the show was written and more to do with how the matches were worked personally.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of my assessment of the situation. I think we can get into our first segment.
Heat of the night, and I'm just gonna say it. It's a blanketed one, which I feel like is the first one I've had in a while. Jake Strong. Just like if why is Gamora, I think like why is Jake Strong? The most boring character I think we've ever seen in Lucha Underground. And this is a show. This is a show, people, that like I have gone on record and I have said they have made their jobbers like Vinny Massaro and formerly Famous B, because I wouldn't call him a jobber anymore, I'd call him a manager. But they made them more interesting in their few outings than they have Jake Strong, like an actually established character. And again, I really shouldn't even say they, because like you said, it's not so much the writing, because I'm still waiting for his first cinematic. It's just the guy doesn't do it for me. Like at first I thought, now I'm relieved that this may not be the case. At first I thought he was going to be like a foil for Pentagon, because he breaks arms and, Jake Strong breaks ankles and all that stuff. And I'm just kind of hoping now that sooner or later he'll fizzle out and he'll just be kind of there. Maybe that guy that a luchador gets a win over to get an Aztec medallion or something. Right now, he's still being pushed. He hasn't lost a match or whatever that, wasn't a singles match or whatever. And the 2-on-1 nunchucks match, we've had like what, 2 nunchucks matches prior to this, Ashton, or at least one.
Yeah, I know we had the one between Drago and someone that I'm not remembering.
Was it
been Drago versus Aerostar? I don't remember.
Either way, I know that there have been prior nunchucks match compared to this.
Oh, you know what? Drago versus Jack Evans was one.
Right, and then there was a tag match, wasn't there? Like Drago and Aerostar versus Jack Evans and PJ Black or something.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And like this to me took all the fun out of the concept when the guy that you're waiting to see get hit with the nunchucks, in this case Jake Strong, completely no-sells it. Or like he sold it, but it didn't have the debilitating effect that you think it would.
Yeah, I actually have in my notes a few really, really outrageous instances of him no-selling some bullshit. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, he never used nunchucks at any point during the match, so that's noteworthy. Drago did his green mist to Jake and then whipped him with the nunchucks, and I counted 11 times. And immediately Strong fired back with a lariat and got on offense. Aerostar flew off the balcony. Then he and Drago went to town on Strong with the nunchucks. I didn't count the number of hits on this one, but Strong just kind of shrugged it off and did his, he attempted to go for his shitty Vader bomb that he does. And even despite him going back on offense, he ended up not hitting the Vader bomb because Aerostar got his feet up. And then he helped Drago deliver a tornado DDT. And then he went up and did the springboard flying squirrel, which is normally his finisher. But Strong kicked out of it and literally within 30 seconds delivered a gut-wrench powerbomb to Aerostar and locked in the Strong Lock to win.
This was awful. I honestly, looking back on it, I really didn't care for this match. I think live reactions, like I have a tendency to maybe gloss over some things, because the chat is so high energy, and you and I, we have a tendency to amuse ourselves feeding off of our energy and stuff like that. But in this formal space where it's more serious and unpacking it, this match was awful. I was bored. I don't see it almost here's the thing to me. And I never mean to commit hyperbole on the show. I think you know that. I kind of hate that I even have to say it, but you and I have loved Lucha Underground since day one. And as like early adopters of Lucha Underground, it's almost disgusting to see Jake Strong get pushed at the expense of OGs like Drago and Aerostar, who to me are infinitely better, both as characters.
You know, dude, honestly, the push isn't the gross part. To me, the fact that there are fans getting behind it is the gross part.
Yeah, because this tells me, and you really said it.
And the thing is, by the way, I do want to point out, after the match, after everything had gone down, I did see that there were only there was a very, very small percentage of believers that were actually doing the strong thing. Maybe like 10 to 15% of the believers were actually doing it. So it must just be a room that's really good for, amplifying sound, because it sounded a lot louder. But when you actually look into the crowd, it's a very, very small percentage of the audience actually doing it.
Right. Yeah, man, I don't know. I still say that the push is kind of the gross part to me, because again, like the in-ring work.
Well, and the thing is, the push is gross, but he's really being portrayed as a heel. Like, he's clearly a Rudo here. He's going after two of the most set in stone technicos that you have in the temple in Aerostar and Drago. He's beating the shit out of good guys, and the crowd, the few people in the crowd that are getting behind him are still getting behind him.
I'm still waiting. Again, I keep saying this every review, and I'm going to keep saying it until it happens. I'm still waiting for him to get cinematics and for him to get narratively fleshed out.
Well, yeah, and I think that's another problem, is that he's being pushed exclusively as an in-ring competitor, which isn't interesting.
Exactly. And really, it goes contrary to the formula of Lucha Underground that works so well. Like, because I feel like most people, hell, even Exolicious, he had, Ashton, one match, and then he got that, Dirty Dancing kind of homage cinematic with the whole water coming down. Normally it doesn't take him this long. So either the cinematic they're giving him is something big, like he's going to play a big role in this, which I can't even begin to unpack how I feel about that, right? Or it's just that they're doing something different, and it's just coming off, at least to me, and I don't want to speak for anybody else, but definitely for me, weird. That this is how.
Speaking of weird, I actually just kind of had a realization.
Yeah.
I feel like this Jake Strong push is the most TNA thing that Lucha Underground has ever done.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because not only are they not doing their usual Lucha Underground stuff with the smoke and mirrors, with the vignettes and the cinematics and stuff like that, but they're also pushing a former WWE guy to the fucking moon at the expense of OGs. That's gross.
Yeah, and that's really where my frustration comes from. Is my God, he really is. When you look at the booking philosophy and all that stuff, he really is an anomaly in this temple. And honestly, for all the death we've been having this season, I would kill for his one cinematic to be a death scene with him just being, axed. But I'm not getting my hopes up.
And the really shitty thing too is he outright said, and this is a WWE move too, he outright said a wrestler will beat a luchador every time, and yet he's proven right every week that he fights.
And not only is he proven right, and I agree with you, that's gross in a promotion that really is celebratory of Lucha Libre and Lucha Libre culture, just on a personal level, because I live for the wrestling types. Of all the people to make the transition, whether from MMA to pro wrestling or just amateur to pro, he's the most boring fucking one to do it. Now, that's more of a personal note. That's not an objective thing.
No, dude, I agree with you, though. I've said, my big thing with, the point that I was just done with the Jack Swagger character in WWE, this dude had a boring match with Daniel Bryan, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. That's really all I have to say about it. So when we get to the nunchuck, I'll just refer you guys back to this segment. His existence to me, in the context of this temple, it just makes no goddamn sense. Now, I'm sure, again, that they'll bring some clarity and coherence to it with some cinematics, but we are only a few episodes away from Ultima Lucha, and we haven't gotten anything. So, and again, that really terrifies me, that what if they've got a bigger role for him here as a narrative character? And I don't know how I feel about that at all.
Yeah, I think we've kind of gotten to the point that, I don't know if there's a way for them to kind of redeem themselves on this flub, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm really right there with you, dude. I think the only way that they could...
I'm sure that they have some kind of big twist planned. Maybe it turns out, he was the Lord the whole time or something like that. But even...
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was going to say, exactly. Even then, I feel like that would just be more missed opportunity than anything.
And we got, somebody new here. Michael Thomas said, I definitely felt the lack of cinematics. Yeah, I mean, especially in the context of the strong character, like give us a cinematic. But yeah, that was really the only heat of the night I wanted to harp on extensively, because I know you and I just weren't into that match at all. And like, wow, I bet you some of the most male Lucha Underground episodes have that consistent trait of having a Jake Strong match in them. I'd be curious to see, like, if we went back, how much of that, like, kind of corresponds.
Yeah, like I almost wish we would be like keeping track of what our like ratings of each show would be, like as far as like letter grades or something out of 10 or something like that, so that we can just go back and see like, oh well, this show had a Jake Strong match, and maybe just get like a running average, like shows with Jake Strong matches versus shows without, and see if there's like a real dichotomy between our ratings between those two.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So I'm gonna hand it over to you real quick. Do you have anything that you kind of wanted to highlight that wasn't this whole Jake Strong abomination sort of thing?
Well, no. See, the thing is, like, you had kind of like a broad stroke, just Jake Strong in general as your kind of heat of the night. I think that my heat of the night is really just kind of overpowered characters, no selling shit at this, and just in general, because like I feel like Pentagon did the same thing in the main event, except maybe to a lesser degree, which is really crazy because Pentagon's like the OG OP guy in Lucha Underground, and yet he's still not as OP as Jake Strong.
Yeah. God, ain't that some shit? But I agree with you, man. Like, I feel like what makes.
Oh, and you know what? There was a weird like editing thing. I don't think it was a mistake. I do think it was intentional, but it just felt really jarring. In the main event, when El Dragon Azteca Jr. did his dive over the turnbuckle to hit Phoenix, like El Dragon Azteca was like pounding the ground to try and like get himself pumped up and get the believers into it. And then they cut to Melissa, and then when they cut back, Phoenix was on his feet throwing a punch. Like this was literally seconds after the dive. So I'm starting to wonder if like all the no selling that we've been getting this season is almost more a product of the editing than the actual matches.
That is an interesting point. Because, like, it's really a shame that Pentagon's become so OP, because I feel like what makes characters like him fascinating is that they love dishing out violence, but they're just as susceptible to it, and that's the price you pay. Like, you can get the catharsis from throwing somebody in a bed of tacks, but 5 minutes later, you could see yourself going through a glass table or something.
Right, like, yeah, like Pentagon and Jake Strong, like they're feeling very much like whatever the male version of a Mary Sue is.
Yeah, it's just
is that like a Gary Stew or something like that?
Maybe a Gary Stew, yeah. But like, if you enjoy inflicting pain, but I know there's no chance of you truly experiencing pain yourself, I feel a major disconnect with you. And with Jake Strong, it makes me kind of roll my eyes. But with Pentagon, it really is just kind of this sigh of frustration and disappointment, because I get why he's over. It just sucks that, like, this is what it's kind of mutated into. But with all that said, do you want to just get into our formal review at this point, or?
No, let's get into it, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let us get right into our Lucha Underground review. And partner, how do we open this baby up?
Well, we get the recap, and we get the recap of Jake Strong's ankle breaking spree, the formation of the team of Exo, Joey, and Ivelisse, Mil versus Cuerno that went to a no finish, and then Mil, Cuerno, Penta from last week, and then Marty's cash in. We get El Conjunto Nueva Ola playing us in. We've got the house band for this week. And then Stryker is reading a letter. He was given a letter from Antonio Cueto and was told to read it on air. Basically just goes over the 4 potential contenders for the Lucha Underground title, talking about how, El Dragon Azteca probably could be if it wasn't for Phoenix, and, Cuerno and Mil might have been able to retain against Marty last week if they had won the triple threat, and Pentagon probably could have been able to beat Marty if it wasn't for the triple threat. So we're going to just have all 4 of those guys fight it out tonight to determine the number 1 contender for the Lucha Underground title for the match at Ultima Lucha 4. And then we get into our first real segment, which was Jack Evans in the ring cutting a promo about how, he refuses to fight for an organization that allows people like Exolicious to fight freely. And he also thinks that he would have stopped Matanza from ruining the Mundo wedding. He refuses to fight tonight. And even though he might have said no mas, tonight he's saying, I quit.
So Jack Evans still being a dick. He still has like this charisma about him that I really gravitate to as a heel. Like just him working the mic. He's just always got this, I won't say likability because that's clearly false, but just like I get a chuckle every time I hear him on the mic. But he's looking to hand over his walking papers And then Antonio Cueto comes out, that growl in his voice, Jock Evans. And, just really explaining to him, you want to walk out, that's fine, but first you got to win this match. You win, you get to walk out. If you lose, you become the latest sacrifice to the gods. And, the whole smoke comes and the arena goes red, and Jack knows what's going down. That's how much of an established concept it's become. He knows what's going down. He's like, oh, shit. He tries to flee, banging on the door straight out of a horror film. He turns around. He's trying to gather himself. The door opens. It's Matanza. And just shit ensues. Ashton, what did you think about this segment, man?
Yeah, you got to appreciate Jack Evans being the first one to, first of all, try and kind of negotiate his way out of it, and then second of all, being smart enough to try and run away. Even if he didn't successfully manage to actually run away, he was the first person to really try it. He was the first one to be like, no, you know what? I know how this story ends. I'm out. And even though it didn't work, it was still admirable to see at least somebody at least attempt to get the hell out of there when they find out that they're in a sacrifice match. But alas, he can't escape. Matanza shows up behind him at the top of the steps, runs him down into the ring. Match officially starts once they are both in the ring. And Jack does a good job. He fights back. He managed to get an exposed turnbuckle shot on Matanza and hits a 630 splash, which I just want to say, how hilarious is it that Matt fucking Stryker, the guy that's been calling Prince Puma's 630s for 3 or 4 years now, didn't know what to call this move. Like, he was befuddled. He was like, oh, was that like a 720 cannonball? I don't know what to call that. Like, it was literally just a 630. It was the same move Puma's been doing for years now. But anyway, Matanza did end up winning, though, via the Wrath of the Gods and then did the sacrifice up. So, yeah, Jack put up the most fight out of everyone that we've seen, but it ended up not mattering in the end because it ended the same way all the other sacrifice matches end.
And I even sent online reactions, and I want to reiterate here, just to kind of, expound upon it a bit more and explore it a bit more. Seeing now that this is the second personal tie to Johnny Mundo, I mean, obviously Joey Wrestling was his best friend. Jack Evans was a Worldwide Underground member and also his friend, because you can tell that they were tight. I'm starting to wonder if Ultima Lucha Quattro, instead of Mundo versus a heel Ricky Mandel that's just been possessed by this Rosa doll, if they want to let that story breathe more into season 5, which I think would be smart, because even fans like you, like, were totally averse to the idea of, like, oh, Ricky and Johnny at Ultima Lucha, like, no, he needs a bigger match. I think if they build Ricky up more in season 5, I bet you more people would become comfortable with them having a big match at some point. But Matanza and Johnny in a Sacrifice to the Gods match at Ultima Lucha, like, that's ready-made believable. I don't think anybody would look at that and be like, I don't buy that. So I'm starting to think that that may be the plan going forward. And I just really hope that Johnny doesn't get sacrificed. Like, I'd love to see him beat Matanza and survive, because that's just what Johnny Mundo does. And especially because he's on Survivor currently. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking the new plan's going to be. I don't know why I didn't see it before, because I guess I was just so fixated on Ricky being the antagonist that caused all this in the first place. But yeah, I'm really starting to think that Mundo Matanza is going to be the next Ultima Lucha match he has, which, again, that'll be another year that Johnny Mundo's had the best match at Ultima Lucha. So I can't wait. Should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, you gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. Mundo, yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. I'm curious if Taya is gonna be at all involved in that too.
Oh, you have to believe she will be, bro. You're not gonna take getting her wedding ruined lightly. She's not gonna let that go. So I fully expect her to be a part of it somehow. So yeah, solid match, and it just really got me thinking about the future. If we get Mundo Matanza at Ultima Lucha, I am so fucking there. So with that said, we can move on. What came after this?
After this, we got Trios title match, but before the Trios title match actually starts, Paul London comes out and introduces El Bunny and the White Rabbit.
Yeah, dude, I love this tribe. You already knew from, like, the best thing to come out of season 3 rewatch when we did those commentaries was I fully embraced the Rabbit tribe. And now, like, my God, they've just taken a tonal shift that I think is completely worked in their favor, because I already like them, but knowing now that they've got this sinister undercurrent going on, it just adds a whole nother layer to the gimmick and the whole aesthetic that I think works remarkably well. I love this team, dude. I mean, what do you think? They're physically at the temple. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, as far as, the aesthetic is amazing. I love that they're all wearing the all black. Paul London fits right in. And by the way, I was doing a little bit of research while I was rewatching this episode. Killer Cross is 6'4". He is one of the biggest motherfuckers in the temple. He is basically almost as big as Viboro was. Like Viboro was 6'5", so damn close to that. So Killer Cross is going to look like an absolute giant when he gets in the ring with most of the people in the temple. And it's a funny little contrast there too, because then El Bunny, he's a mini. So it's like this gigantic son of a bitch and then a mini are Paul London's partners. So they're literally just going to be able to line up and it's going to look like fucking phone bars, small to big.
Yeah. I mean, dude, El Bunny, when you explained to me that wasn't like Masquerita, it may very well be El Torito. It made so much sense because up top, they look built. I'm like, damn, I wouldn't want to fuck with that many at all. So they just have, here's the thing. The old Rabbit Tribe, again, I like them, but they weren't exactly the most credible.
Yeah.
These guys have the exact same unnerving quality as the original Rabbit Tribe, but I think they have more credibility now. Because, I mean, you just broke down Killer Cross. And again, El Bunny looks like he could beat anybody's ass. So, yeah, they appear. But, of course, they're only spectators for the moment because we've got a Trios Championship match. Joey Ryan, Exolicious, and Evilise versus Reptile Tribe 2.0. So what did you think about this match?
Yeah, the match itself was pretty good. Honestly, as far as personal preference, this was my favorite match of the night. Absolutely. Because, the nunchuck match, I already told you my gripes with it. And then the main event match was very short and it was cut even shorter, at least in my opinion, as far as the way it felt, just by the fact that Pentagon got to go all OP in the end. But this match was fun, and that's really all I ask from my wrestling matches is that they're just fun and enjoyable to watch. Jeremiah, again, kind of the worst part of the match for me, but still, he didn't ruin it by any means. He did he opened the match up and he put Joey's lollipop in his mouth immediately, which, that's why we say Jeremiah Snake, ew, because fucking ew, dude, gross.
Yeah.
Evilise actually hit the Desert Eagle in this match on Daga pretty early on, but Jeremiah did break that up. And then we got the old stare down between Jeremiah and Evilise, former lovers. Although I don't even know if he knows that since he's got like the Venom thing going on and he's kind of a zombie or something.
Right.
Then yeah, Joey as a technical, I think is a lot of fun. He did this cool like thing where he threw Cobra Moon out of the ring onto the other two guys and then like really hyped up the crowd for an Exolicious tope, which Exolicious didn't even end up doing a tope at that point because I guess they moved out of the way. But then Evilise hit the cannonball on Daga, and then Exo did like a slingshot move to the other two members of the Reptile Tribe, and then Joey went out and grabbed Daga and threw him back into the ring, but he got caught. Daga ended up getting him in this like crazy, like twisting him up like a pretzel, and it ended up that he had him in a crucifix armbar, which Joey tapped out to. But as far as the match itself goes, I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with your sentiments. Great action throughout. Reptile Tribe retain. And then after the match, the new Rabbit Tribe, they make their mark because Exolicious, Evilise, and Joey Ryan get jumped. Interesting note here. Killer Cross didn't even get his hands dirty with the beatdown. I know you originally made that point in live reactions. It was really a two-man job between, or I guess a person and an animal, with Paul London and El Bunny just whooping ass. And El Bunny, again, looked great. And again, this is coming from a guy that I didn't even hate Masquerita. I actually quite like Masquerita. But I'll tell you, El Bunny, totally cool with me. And then they line him up against the bottom rope, facing Killer Cross. I thought it was going to be like a triple curb stop or some shit. But no. Killer Cross just got his pocket watch out, and he pretty much told him, like, your time's up. Very cool. Like, I love this very authoritarian, like, kind of commanding presence that Killer Cross has. Like, he's not taking any shit. He's like, let's get this done because time is precious. It's a very dark take on what was once, like, a pretty lighthearted gimmick by Lucha Underground standards. And I love it, man. I think it's one of my favorite developments of this season, actually. So... that's all I got to say about that. Is there anything you want to say about the beatdown or any of your remarks?
No, man, we can move on. Up next, we did get our third match of the night. We just had matches from this point on. Third match of the night was Drago and Aerostar versus the Savage Jake Strong in the nunchuck match. And I kind of went over my notes already. Strong never used nunchucks at any point in this match, but he also kind of never sold them at any point. So they were just kind of irrelevant to the match. There was one point where, Drago did the green mist and then whipped him with the nunchucks 11 times, and Strong fired back with a lariat. Aerostar flew off the balcony, and then he and Drago went to town on Strong with the nunchucks, and then Strong shrugged it off, went for a Vader bomb, and then Aerostar got his feet up, then helped Drago do a tornado DDT, and then did the springboard flying squirrel. But again, Strong kicked out, and within 30 seconds did the gut wrench powerbomb to Aerostar, locked in the Strong lock, and tapped Aerostar out. And then post-match, Drago saves Aerostar, but Strong breaks his ankle instead. And yeah, fuck everything about this match and Jake Strong as a character.
That's really all that needs to be said. Let's move on.
Okay, then. Up next, we did get our final match of the night, the main event. King Cuerno, Mil Muertes, Azteca, and Pentagon Dark for the #1 contendership for the Lucha Underground title.
Like you said, very quick match, which is what I was concerned about. I know we're noting time and live reactions quite a bit because you got a fatal four-way with talents of this caliber. You could have had a match of the year contender if you really were able to let it breathe, whether it was because of editing or what. We've already kind of gone over the reasons why that might be. I feel like they definitely kind of set the plate for certain Ultima Lucha matches because, really, in a way, I feel like you kind of set up 3 in one match, and that is the one thing I will give this match because you had Phoenix do the run-in and, again, cost El Dragon Azteca, so you have to imagine they're going to face off at Ultima Lucha. Freaking Pentagon Dark won, so we know he's facing Marty the Moth in a rematch, and, again, I implore Lucha Underground, give them Cero Miedo and have Marty go over. I would love this match, this rematch, to have a stipulation. Just have them go all out. Because I think it could also do a lot, at least for me personally, to redeem Pentagon and for me to be interested in him again. And really, in my mind, the big one, the most unexpected one, freaking Mil Muertes is going to be working with the Mac in a death match at Ultima Lucha Quattro. Mac comes in, and now I'm thinking he's going to want to do business with the Killshot, which now, Ashton, I think also confirms for us, if we want to make an inference here about another Ultima Lucha Quattro match, Killshot versus Son of Havoc. And, I'm assuming, I don't know if you want to make this inference with me as well, but I'm standing my ground about the whole mask versus mask thing, given the one segment they had. But Mac and Mil, I'm thinking Mac's going to want a piece of Killshot. No, he wants to go after Mil again. That House of Horrors match, like, once he faced it once, I guess Mac no longer had fear about anything else. He said, I'm not afraid to die, but you will be, because at Ultima Lucha Quattro, it's going to be you and me in a death match. Now, I will say this. If this is the opener to Ultima Lucha Quattro, that might be the best thing you could do, or at least the main event of night one, because I feel like these guys could have a really fun death match together. There's no way in hell in my mind that Mac's winning this because Mil's undefeated at Ultima Lucha, and this match is his specialty. But Mac has done really well in these environments. Who could forget the false count anywhere matches he's had with Cage and stuff like that? So Mac's definitely more in his element here than I guess he was in that House of Horrors match.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm more, though, curious what you think about this, given that you're, like, such a big Mil fan, and I don't know, like, what your status is with them. I know you've always, like, respected Mac's ability and stuff, but just seeing that these two guys are going to work together at Ultima Lucha, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, really, I was extreme. You can go back. You can listen to my live reaction from last night. I was psyched as hell about this because I'm loving that we're going to be getting this match, and I'm going to be super behind Mil to destroy the Mac for costing him this title shot. That's my thing. Like, all I want is for Mil to get back to the world title, and Mac fucked him over here. So I am going to be thoroughly rooting for Mil to destroy him in this match.
Yeah. Absolutely, dude. I feel like they've done such a great job with Mil because I was concerned, like, Katrina was such a central part of his act, and yet I feel like he really hasn't missed a beat since that whole thing has kind of been taken care of. And yeah, it really is about him getting back to the world title without her, showing that he can do it, totally on his own, and people keep getting in his business and thwarting those efforts. When it was Mac, I was like, oh, shit, this is an interesting take. But again, Mac has always done well with those bigger guys like Cage. And, the House of Horrors match he had with Mil, I thought was good. This, I feel like, though, will be even better. I actually have high hopes for this. Again, if you make this either the opener of night one or the main event of night one, I think that's the perfect card placement because it's either going to let the crowd know, like, yeah, this is Ultima Lucha, or if it's the main event, oh my God, we're in Ultima Lucha. Yeah. So a lot of responsibility on these guys, but it's none that they can't meet. You know, I'm psyched for this. And yeah, Pentagon wins. So again, 3 matches that we could pretty much infer from. I mean, 2 that we know are happening, and then 1 that we can infer from. Pentagon versus Marty for the Lucha Underground Championship, which I love that Marty's first title defense is going to be at Ultima Lucha Quattro. That's so fucking cool. Mill versus Mac in a death match. And again, Azteca versus Zombie Phoenix, or Dark Phoenix if you prefer. It's going to be awesome. Like, and that's one thing I will say for all the ebbs and flows of season 4, for all the high points and low points, this Ultima Lucha Quattro card, at least on paper, is looking legit because you figure those matches. Because I'll even be psyched for Pentagon Marty, but I will not back down that I think that match does need a stipulation. Azteca Phoenix, amazing. Mac Mill, that's fun waiting to happen. Freaking, like I said, if Mundo Matanza and a Sacrifice to the Gods match happens, especially if Mundo gets the gauntlet before then, fuck yes. So yeah, this card is looking stacked. I'm actually really excited for Ultima Lucha Quattro. What are you thinking about it, man? Are you hyped?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. I'm really looking forward to it. This match is one of many that I'm looking forward to.
All right, man. That's awesome. So with that said, I guess we'll get into our next segment. But before we do, let me just get quick plugs out of the way, guys. First of all, our All Lucha Underground Content Ever playlist is in the description box. I know we've got some new chat commenters here. Michael Thomas in particular, he was commenting. I don't know if he's still here, but if you're new to TWitWoW, first of all, welcome to your new favorite wrestling podcast. And if you'd like to know our takes and pretty much our positions long form on the product, you can do all that with the All Lucha Underground Content Ever playlist. Every review, every live reaction, every rewatch, everything is there. So check that out. Follow Ashton and myself on Twitter and visit the TWitWoW Facebook page and leave a like. On our Twitters, for Ashton's pinned tweet is the TWitWoW schedule for every month. September's coming to a close. Pretty soon, Ashton's pinned tweet will be the TWitWoW recording schedule for the month of October. You're going to want to keep your finger on the pulse so that you never miss a TWitWoW recording, or when recordings get, moved over or dropped or added. A lot can happen with TWitWoW. We've got things going on all the time. So be sure to check out his pinned tweet and follow him on Twitter. My pinned tweet is to collect Q&A questions. Q&A is today, in a matter of hours, actually. We're going live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you haven't gotten your questions in yet, the window is very narrow, but you can still fit stuff in there. So go to my pinned tweet, submit your questions, and yeah, always just know that they're there to collect your Q&A questions until Q&A ends, and then I'll replace it with a pinned tweet for the next Q&A. TWitWoW Teespring store. We offer a variety of wrestling merch and even Scum Squad and TWitWoW merch. I'm a TWitWoW guy and I'm a TWitWoW girl t-shirts, Scum Squad mugs and stickers, and wrestling-based shirts like Emma Real Face of the Women's Revolution and a Naito or Andrade if you prefer Tranquilo shirt, which I really love. I think it's a beautiful shirt. The simplicity is key. It's just a great design. So check out the Teespring and see if there's anything you like. And finally, the Patreon. We here at Team TWitWoW appreciate all the support that we get. And the big thing that we're doing nowadays is SmackDown Live and 205 live reactions in a bundle, which comes out to the same evaluation as Progress Live reactions, $120 a month. So far, we've been doing amazing at meeting that goal because of the generosity of you guys. But if you're ever afraid of us kind of, backtracking on that or, not meeting the goal, the best thing you could do is donate $3 and get membership in the TWitWoW Discord, the ultimate fan server experience. There you'll meet the most passionate TWitWoW fans, and you can discuss everything from video games to music to the things going on in wrestling, obviously, to an even not suitable for work tab, which apparently our good friend Sal is the most active in, I learned recently. So, yeah, guys, I think it's great. Plus, when you maintain your membership in the TWitWoW Discord, your $3 donation accumulates over time, and soon you'll have enough money to cash it in for a live reaction to a 3-hour show. I always say, if you do 10 months, $3 comes out to $30, live reaction to a 3-hour show, or however much you want to save up to get maybe a live reaction and a review, just a review, just a live reaction, however it is. We break it all down in the Patreon. I think it's a win-win-win-win. You get to be a part of a great fan server, and your money builds up so that you get Patreon requests, which we've done several on the channel. I encourage you to check them out. And with that said, we can get into our final segment, high spots and low shots. So my low shot, I gotta say, man, is freaking Mill. Because once again, the most dominant force in any match that he's in, and he can't quite put it together at the finish line to get the 3 count this time because of the Mac, who decided, hey, yeah.
It just kind of hit me. Mill is the new Cage.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is, except the only difference being Mill's actually tasted the Lucha Underground Championship, and we're still waiting on Cage's run.
That's true. That's true, yeah.
But yeah, man, Max suddenly decided I'm not afraid of death anymore. So I guess Mill's got to correct that as soon as possible. But in the meantime, and I can say this from a very comfortable distance, Mill is my low shot. So who's your low shot, bud?
My low shot goes. It's a double dipper. My low shot goes to both Drago and Aerostar for being victimized by Jake Strong.
Yeah, I do not blame you one bit.
They deserve so much better.
You know what? My high spot.
You know what, though? Before you move on, I just want to say I think we can share an honorable low shot to Jack Evans because rip.
Yeah, right. I was even thinking, like, wow, he went away unscathed, and then your memory kicked in. So, yeah, no, I definitely agreed. My high spot, I know who I could give it to, but I'm petulant and stubborn, and fuck that guy. So instead, I'm going to give it to Matanza. He gets stronger by the week, and it shows no signs of slowing down. And here's the thing, if anybody has any right to be OP, given like the narrative armor, so to speak, of the character, it would be Matanza. And that's honestly what makes me excited about Ultima Lucha. If he's facing Johnny Mundo, especially Gauntlet Johnny Mundo, is like, it's just going to be a collision of just super forces, for fuck's sake. So yeah, Matanza's going to be my high spot because he just keeps feeding, he just keeps growing, and he just keeps getting more powerful. So who's your high spot?
I guess, God, this is you giving me. You always take the good one, damn it. I mean,
you want to start going first on these so that you can get the good one and you can know what it's
like. No, because then I'll be unprepared, damn it.
Oh wow! So I feel like this is less about me.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. No, but I'll say, oh shit, I hate to do it, but my high spot's gonna have to be Pentagon because he did get #1 contendership and he's gonna get a title shot at Ultima Lucha.
So. Oh, bro, I gotta be honest with your prefacing remarks, like, "Oh, I hate to do this." I really thought you were gonna say Jake Strong. I was so close to just
hell no,
holding you so we could have a crying session because that
would
have
been at least Pentagon can make a genuine claim of being the face of Lucha Underground. Jake Strong is just a fucking outsider that doesn't know what he's doing.
You don't belong. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, man. I mean, he's punched his ticket to Ultima Lucha, and hell, he can even brag that, like, in a world where normally you just get an obligatory rematch, he still went out of his way to earn his. So yeah, it makes sense to me. With that said, Ashton, do you have any concluding remarks about Lucha Underground this week?
I don't think so, man. Let's close it out.
All right, guys. Well, with that said, this has been Lucha Underground. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-owner commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment on this video when it's done processing. What do you think about Pentagon Dark facing Marty the Moth at Ultima Lucha Quattro? How hyped are you for that main event for the Lucha Underground Championship? Do you think that Matanza and Johnny Mundo are going to face off at Ultima Lucha and a sacrifice to the gods match? Or is there still hope, maybe, that Johnny Mundo will have a different opponent like a Ricky Mandel or somebody else? What do you think about the idea of Phoenix and Azteca continuing this feud all over the heart of Melissa Santos, who clearly still loves Phoenix and wants to help him and shows complete apathy to the latter? But yeah, talk to us. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the product, guys. We love Lucha Underground, despite the fact that this season has had its share of hits and misses. I still think it's an amazing product. I know you guys do too. So let's just come together and talk about what we love and not love so much in that comment section. Be sure to like the video if you haven't. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for Lucha Underground reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. Subscribe to your new favorite wrestling podcast if you haven't, and click that bell icon for notifications so you never again miss out on any of that TWitWoW goodness. All right, guys, as I said, Q&A is at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you haven't gotten your questions in, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. I already explained, everybody gets up to 4 questions per Q&A. Divide them up however you like. This is your last opportunity to get them before we go live at 7. So I hope to see you all there. And until then, tune in and peace out.